Buenas, buenas, banda Macabra, bienvenidos a una charla de esta 20ª edición del Festival Macabro, donde tenemos el gusto de platicar, de compartir un poco con los creadores de algunas de las maravillosas cintas que nos acompañan, que nos engalanan este año. En esta ocasión, directamente desde Brasil, tenemos a Armando Fonseca y Capel Furman, que vienen a platicarnos de su película Skull. Okay. Armando, Capel, bienvenidos. Welcome, guys. Bienvenidos.
Hola, hello.
Hola, Arturo. 20 años. Increíble.
20 años ya y 20 años que se pueden adornar, que se pueden engalanar con una película como la de ustedes. Vamos a platicar un poquito sobre Skull. Antes que nada, lo primero, platíquenos, ¿cómo fue que surge el concepto de Skull? ¿Cómo nace la idea para hacerla?
Well, the concept started like 80 years ago with this image. We have a TV show here called Cine, which is basically a kind of reality show that each episode we practice, we try to make a short film. And 8 years ago, I created like this kind of serial killer, supernatural monster creature that we wanted to use in a short film, like of course a horror short film. And so I create the mask, I create the image of the character, the creature, but we didn't have any background for it. But the creature, the monster, looked very good. So how can we improve that? We decided to give it a background, to give a story. And of course, we here in Brazil, as in all Latin America, we have a lot of mythical and folkloric stories. And why not take advantage of that and use it instead of using Eurocentric story? Because not because Eurocentric stories are not good, but because they are so much used that they lost kind of the charm. So why not use the things that we have here, the things that we grew up listening? So I decided to do an amalgam of all these folkloric and myth stories that we have here in Latin America with the people that were here before us, like the native in Latin America, and create this character that is kind of revenge against colonization. And also use a little bit of myself, like my family history, and put some Jewish folklore in that. So it's kind of a golem, but a golem is an idea that is even in Superman, you can find it. So basically, we want to create a supernatural serial killer constructed over the folkloric and mythical elements in Latin America.
Yeah, until we had this final version of Skull, we tried several visuals for him, during these short films on our TV show. So what we get now in the film, it's like the 5th design that Capel made, more or less.
Well basically, the idea of the mask is the same from the first one to the last one. But I had the opportunity to try in a practical way and see what works and what doesn't work. Like is even for a very low budget like our movie, that's the kind of looks that you usually don't have in a film, like to practice all different variations of the design.
Yeah, we had a skull based on lucha libre. So he had like the shoelaces behind his head. We had like several versions of skull.
One of the versions was like a video game with a lucha libre character.
Yes.
Fantástico. Entonces, hagamos un pequeño resumen de lo que escuchamos, banda Macabra. El concepto de Skull nació hace 8 años dentro de un programa de reality que tienen Armando y Capel. Son dos de los participantes. Este programa se llama Cine, donde el concepto es hacer un corto cada emisión, cada capítulo del programa. Y ahí se creó este asesino serial que está basado, se utiliza mucho del folclore de Brasil, de Latinoamérica, más que nada para dejar de lado los eurocentrismos, los conceptos europeos, para que ya están un tanto gastados. Entonces, ¿por qué no tomar un poco de lo que está aquí y de la gente, de los pueblos que estaban aquí antes que nosotros? Igual un poquito de cultura judía, un poco y en particular el mito del golem, un mito que está incluso en personajes como Superman. Y el concepto de la máscara, por ejemplo, fue el mismo desde el principio hasta el final. Aquí hay un diseño, un asunto interesante, que es que la máscara en algún punto fue diseñada como una máscara de lucha libre. Eso es algo bien importante y que me pareció también bien interesante. Tenía mucho tiempo, o al menos creo que es la primera vez que disfruto ver a a un asesino serial, un slasher, un monstruo, que pelea con movimientos de lucha libre. ¿Qué tan grande es la lucha libre en Brasil?
It was big in the 80s, and then it kind of fade out. And now we have, luckily, they are our friends, like people from BWF, Brazilian Wrestling Federation. They are trying to bring it back to the TV, to the people. So I, as a kid, I grew up watching, like late at night, Gigante do Ringue, which was a TV show about wrestling. And then kind of fade out, like people lost interest in it. But because of cable TV, the young ones could start watching wrestling from United States, and the interest grew up back again. So luckily, it still remains alive here, although it's kind of small if you compare to the 80s, but it's still very present. Especially if you like it, you can find it. So that's, and for me, it was very important because, like, since I grew up watching like a mixture between Chinese films and wrestling and all this kind of stuff, and I wanted to put that all like blended in a one character. And the good thing about having a supernatural serial killer is that you can put everything inside because there's no rules.
Mm-hmm.
Muy bien.
And also, like I just found this. Let me see. The I can. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This was like when I was in Mexico in 2011. I went to watch Arena Mexico, the Lucha Libre show.
Aquí todavía disfruta. Desgraciadamente creo que la lucha libre hoy en día en México se parece un poco más a la lucha libre de la WWE que a la que realmente se hace en México. Pero fue un dato bastante agradable ver en su película. Capel nos comentaba que en los 80 la lucha libre fue grande en México y que afortunadamente ahorita tienen amistad con varias de las personas que forman parte de la Federación de Lucha Libre de Brasil, y ahorita gracias a la televisión por cable ha habido muchos jóvenes que han podido ver la lucha libre y tomarle cariño nuevamente. Aquí también hay una cuestión hablando precisamente de los 80. Dicen que hace falta como tomar distancia para apreciar las cosas, por ejemplo. Y en este caso de la película de Skull, creo que hay, se ha tomado la suficiente distancia como para apreciar este cine que se hacía en los 80s. Cuéntenme tantito, Armando, platícame, ¿cuáles son las influencias de las que se nutrieron para crear no solo es el personaje de Skull, que en este caso Ananga, sino todo lo que está alrededor.
Mhm. We had a lot of references during the writing and the shooting, but it was like something already inside our head. We were not referencing and knowing that we were referencing. So we have a scene where spider legs come out of the skull and attack people. This is a reference to the thing. But when we did this and thought of this, it was not like, let's do just like the thing. And we wrote it like this, you know. It was like decades of watching films and playing video games and reading comics, that these ideas became like something that it is in our character right now. It's inside our head. So we have like a lot of references from Hellraiser, for example, but we did not do it like to copy or something like that. It was like something that it's an idea that it's out there and we just did it. So it's like Apple said, it's an amalgam of various ideas. Something that I like very much, that I always looked for to put in our films, is that I love Garth Ennis comic books. I love Preacher and the graphic violence. When a guy gets shot, the whole jaw comes flying out, the whole arm flies out. And we looked for this in school. We're trying to put some graphic violence so we can have something more than the usual, more than the real life, you know. So we are like collecting various things that we already had in our head that we wanted to do.
The results are kind of subconscious. Like we do it because the reference that we have, like the building blocks of our creativity is based on this kind of stuff that you grow up consuming this material, and this kind of works as a manure for your ideas. Well, you know what I mean. And also, like the reference to the 80s is basically because we shot the film in the same way. Like we just had a very low budget. We had a small crew. We had to do everything practical. So the results are the same because the method was the same. It's not like we were trying like, oh, let's do an 80s movie. It's basically like, let's do the movie in the same way that they did in the 80s. And the results are basically the same.
Oh, vaya, muy interesante. Las referencias que se encuentran en la película de Skull no son a propósito, no es tratar de copiar de aquí para poner acá, sino que son cosas que ya están dentro de cada uno de ellos, es parte de ellos. Por ejemplo, una escena que cuando salen patas de la máscara del Skull, es una referencia, es así pensada a La cosa del otro mundo de Carpenter, y no es precisamente tomar referencias, copiar, sino que dado que era una producción de bajo presupuesto, decidimos hacerla como en los 80, como en aquella época, y más bien el resultado es por la manera de filmarlo, más que por estar pensando en copiar esto o aquello. Hablando también de estas cosas, Capel, Armando, vamos a adentrarnos un poquito más en los personajes dentro de Skull. A mí me llamó, por ejemplo, muchísimo la atención dos personajes principalmente. Por supuesto, Ananga, que igual me tomé la libertad de leer un poquito sobre el personaje de folclore. Me llamó mucho la atención que originalmente parecía una cosa y ustedes en la película lo manejan como la otra parte de una misma leyenda, de un mismo folclore. Esa por un lado. Y por el otro lado, su personaje principal, la detective. Yo considero que ella es, después de Ananga, el personaje principal de la película. Un personaje femenino, fuerte, con un cierto conflicto ahí mental, ético, digámosle, pero que a fin de cuentas se sobrepone a él para hacer el trabajo. Empecemos por Ananga. Es un personaje de folclore que es una dicotomía, bueno y malo. platíquenme, pues, Capel, ¿por qué en este caso inclinarse un poco más al aspecto oscuro?
Well, Ayanga actually is not Ayanga that is in the film. Ayanga, the Tupi myth, has nothing to do with the film. But when the Jesuitas came here to Brazil, was everything like came here to Brazil, came here to this new country that was not called Brazil. Everything was black and white, like, or because in a Christian Catholic point of view, you can be good or evil. There's no in between. And everything that they found here was because was not part of the Catholic religion, was evil. Yes. So Ayanga actually is is like Hades, you know, the Greek mythology. So Ayanga is the opposite of Tupã. So Tupã is the sun, and Ayanga is the ruler of the dead, the ruler of the bad luck, and the underground. So basically that's it. And the Jesuits saw that as the representation of the evil, of demon. So we have here in São Paulo a neighborhood called Anhangabaú, which was a river with a very strong presence of sulfur. So the place stinks like hell. So they named it Anhanga Valley. Anhangabaú means Anhanga Valley, because they thought, oh, this is the place of hell. So for in the Jesuits' point of view, Ayanga was evil. So that's why we call it the mask Ayanga, because it's a point of view of the Jesuits. It's not the point of view of the native people from Brazil. So the mask of Ayanga is a name that the Jesuits gave to the mask. So that's the mythology behind the mask. We built for the mask is actually a mixture between Inca mythology and native Brazilian mythology. And we create this new being, this new entity, which the Jesuits called Ayanga, but it's not Ayanga.
Yes. Originally, Ayanga here in Brazil, from indigenous culture, it's like a horned deer that glows and protects the forest.
And so also is a shapeshifter. It's a shapeshifter. Yes. It can transform itself in all these monsters and creatures. But every mythology here in Brazil is built in a way to create this entity that the main purpose is to protect the nature, to protect the forests against the invaders, which are the Europeans. So the mask of Ayanga is actually a parabola. How do you say parabola?
Parabola.
Okay, parabola. To talk about colonization here in Latin America, and also to talk about fascism, but in a funny way.
Ok, entonces este Anhanga no es Ayanga, en realidad es algo completamente diferente. Ayanga es es algo que los jesuitas cuando llegaron a Brasil, para ellos era todo blanco o negro. Lo que no era bueno era malo. Entonces, también ahí en Brasil existe un lugar, Anhangabaú, que es un río que es rico en azufre. Entonces, se suponía que era algo así como el río Anhanga, porque era como estar en el infierno, como estar aspirando el infierno. Pero eso es en realidad, Ayanga, que es Skull, en realidad es una mezcla de otras cosas. No tiene nada que ver con el original, porque originalmente el mito de Ayanga se presenta como un ciervo de ojos incandescentes que protege a los cazadores o incluso a veces a las presas. Muy bien. Entonces, nos comentaban también acerca del proceso de producción de la película. Cuéntenos un poquito de eso, ¿en cuánto tiempo lo filmaron? ¿Como con cuánta gente? Platíquenos de eso.
We shot for like a month between breaks, you know.
That was
And
18 days. I
yes,
wish it
but
was
we
a
had
month.
yes, but we had those breaks that, like, you know, we shoot 2, 3, 4 days and stop, and 2 to 4 days and stop. It's something like this. But we shot on January of 2019, and we had the whole year to finish the film on post-production. So we had the film ready on the beginning of 2020, but we didn't have any festivals. We didn't have anything working because of the pandemic. So the film, we had to work the film in a different way from 2020 until now. And during production, we had a basis of 50 people on set, right, couple, on most days.
Well, including the cast. Like,
yes.
For us was a big crew. Luckily, most of them are our friends, so they were together with the project. They weren't, of course, they were not there because of the money, because nobody got rich. On the contrary, we got very poor after. And the things like in 2018, I did a pitch at Fantasmercado of the project, but we didn't have anything. Like, we didn't have a screenplay. Actually, it was a TV show. The project was initially for a TV series. That's why you have so many characters that go other ways, and you want to know more about them, but you don't know more about them because you need to watch the other films that we don't have yet. So I did a pitching for the feature film at the Fantasmercado, and luckily we got a kind of green light to make it. But we had to hurry, like, because we didn't have a lot of money. We knew that we had to shoot between December and January of 2019 because of money. Like, it's cheaper to rent equipment here in Brazil during this period of time. So we had like this very near window to write the screenplay, to produce the film, to cast, to do everything, to work on special effects. So we had to hurry a lot. So it was a very intense 2018 and much more intense 2019. And to do the post-production, like we had to run and do everything. We, of course, people working with us, but we had to run and be with the movie like full time. So it was like a very intense marathon for us.
Yes, we didn't have the budget just to go out. The movie is now in post-production. No, the movie was with us in post-production there doing the computer, you know. We don't have the luxury to just wait for the results. We are making the results to the post-production for it to work, you know.
Armando can send you the video of us doing the follies for the film, like breaking like a cabbage and doing the sound of Tahuantin Sumpai. So we work it in every aspect of the film, of course, with other people doing the film with us.
We had a lot of days that was just me, Capel, and the DP, the director of photography, just like shooting details of the mask, shooting stuff for the intro. It was like a very handmade film, you know.
You need to see the making of the intro, like of the mask spinning. It's like me, Armando, Fernando Sanchez, who do the design of the opening, and a can of spray as an X for the mask to spin. Like you use a can of spray painting and put the mask over and spin the mask.
And tapping on a little bag of dust, so we have like this dust thing.
The fog.
Yes.
Oh, maravilloso. Entonces, para realizar la película se hizo en un mes. Se filmaban 3 días más o menos se detenía, otros 3 días. Sin embargo, la producción llegaba a haber momentos en los que tenían 50 personas en un día de filmación y también tenían que estarlo haciendo rápido porque las fechas que tenían para filmar son fechas en las que el costo del equipo en Brasil sube mucho. Entonces tenían que hacer todo muy rápido y pues pero también gracias a eso tuvieron la oportunidad de estar, de tener Skull en el Fantasmercado de Fantaspoa, si no me equivoco, y tuvieron el visto bueno para realizar la película, cuando originalmente desde el principio no había exactamente un guión, sino que estaba pensado para una serie de televisión. Y la postproducción, de hecho, parece que prácticamente tenían que hacerla sobre la marcha. En los créditos iniciales, 3 personas estaban ahí filmando y al mismo tiempo con un spray se estaba haciendo un efecto especial y cosas así que ya verán o que ya vieron en la pantalla. Maravilloso. Hace un momento nos brincamos también este pequeño dato que les hablaba de el personaje de la detective, que también es uno de los principales de la película. Como que es un contrapeso, muchos personajes masculinos, pero ella en particular. Platíquenme cómo surge el personaje de su detective.
The actress is Natalia Rodriguez. The
Ujú.
character is Beatriz Obedias. Beatriz, the name Beatriz is because the Inferno de Dante, the book.
Dante's Inferno.
Yes, the main character goes back to hell to bring Beatriz back. But the idea of the characters is kind of emulate the Dirty Harry, Dirty Cop from the 70s and 80s, but with a spin, like why not a female cop? Why not the same behavior that we are so used to see in a male character in the action films? Why not to have a female? Because, and unlike the other cops, she has like a very intense background that kind of justifies why she's like that. Why not build this kind of very strong female character?
Yes, she's not the character that it's always going to be saved by some man. She is the strong character. She does like wrong stuff, but she's trying to do the right stuff. Through Beatriz, through this character, we are trying to put something of like a social critic thinking of the Brazilian social politics situation right now. That police officers here, the salary, the money they make is very, very low. It's almost nothing. So Beatriz on the film is hunting the guy that lives in the slums, but she herself is like a step away from going to live in those same slums. So it's like a critical point, like, should I go after the poor people that suffer, or should I look up to the rich people that like explore this poor population here in Brazil? So we put her in this kind of middle, you know. She's protecting the rich, but she has to suffer through this. She has to go after poor people because she is a poor person, you know. So we are trying to put this social criticism as well.
But the way that we decide to tell this is more like in a comic book. So in order to fit the profile of a slasher film and not a social film, we designed the character to be more like a comic book, to be more like not a Punisher, but the same idea that when you have this same character, but in a comic book. So the way that we designed the behaviors are based on comic books.
Son maravilloso. Beatriz, el personaje femenino principal de la película, está basada en Beatriz del Infierno de Dante. El personaje es una idea como para emular, como para copiar, para emular un poco a Harry el Sucio de las películas de los 70, pero en mujer. ¿Por qué no poner una mujer que tuviera las mismas actitudes, características que un personaje como este. Y además el personaje surge como una especie de crítica social acerca de cómo es la policía en Brasil. El dinero que ganan allá la policía es muy poco, ganan muy poco dinero, y entonces Beatriz está entre perseguir a una persona de escasos recursos, pobre, o apoyar a personas de grandes recursos, personas ricas. Entonces, apoyo a los ricos, pero debería estar persiguiendo a esta persona que como yo es alguien que no tiene mucho dinero, que es pobre. Sin embargo, la idea es darle, pasarla por un tamiz de, de historieta, de un cómic. Entonces, así fue como surgió el personaje de Beatriz. Capel Armando es la película Skull, que pueden ver ahorita en Macabro, Banda Macabra. Es una película que seguramente después que la vean, seguramente tendrán más material para platicar sobre ella. Podríamos llevarnos horas hablando de una película como esta aquí. Desgraciadamente, se nos termina el tiempo, pero no sin antes agradecerle a Armando y Capel que hayan estado aquí con nosotros y que nos permitan engalanar estos 20 años de Macabro con la película Skull. Armando, Capel, algo final que quieran decirle al público de Macabro.
First of all, thank you very much for allowing us to have our film in Macabro. It's a very special, for me, it's a very special festival that I hold in my heart. And of course, being part of this 20 years of history is also very, very important. And I hope you can enjoy our film. It's called The Mask. It's called A Máscara de Anhangá. And have fun watching. And if you like lucha libre, you will find a lot of references in there, especially because of the movement, the golpes.
Yeah. First of all, congratulations for 20 years on Macabro. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's like such a huge line to cross. It's incredible. And it's very important for us to have our film Macabro to show people so people in Mexico can watch the film and see that we are producing here in Latin America the same kinds of films everywhere. We don't have a limit, so we can produce films here in Latin America that go to the whole world. So it's very good to see this junction of our Latin America brothers and do this and celebrate horror films and science fiction films and all fantastic films everywhere. Thank you very much, Arturo and Edna, for this opportunity for us to have Skull here.
Gracias a ustedes. Muy bien, Banda Macabra, pues es todo por esta conversación. No olviden, si no la han visto, vean la película Skull, La Máscara de Anhangá, y disfrútenla como sé que ya otros la han disfrutado, como yo la disfruté. Entonces, nos veremos en una próxima edición de las charlas macabras. Hasta pronto.